Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of In the Eyes of Truth. Back with us is Thomas Penn. He is, for those who don't remember, a American journalist who's been over 20 years in Germany.
Hey there, entrepreneurs. Are you feeling the squeeze from increasing regulations and higher taxes? Maybe you've noticed the growing instability and thought there has to be a better way. Well, you're not alone, and that's exactly why you need to consider offshoring your wealth now. Imagine a life where your hard-earned money isn't constantly under threat from unpredictable government policies. Sounds pretty good, right? Let me tell you. It's not just a dream, it's a smart strategy. Here at Exit Strategy, we specialize in helping entrepreneurs like you protect and grow their wealth. We navigate the complex world of international finance so you don't have to, from setting up offshore accounts to advising on the best countries with favorable tax laws. We've got you covered. Now, I know what you're thinking. Offshoring sounds risky, maybe even a bit shady, but the truth is many savvy business owners are already doing it. It's not just about dodging taxes, it's about creating a safety net for your future. Imagine diversifying your assets across multiple jurisdictions. When one country faces economic downturns, your wealth remains secure. Think of it as an insurance policy against the uncertainties of life. And let's not forget, having a portion of your wealth offshore can open up opportunities for international investments. You're no longer limited by the economic climate of a single country. You can tap into booming markets around the world, maximizing your returns. But here's the kicker. Time is of the essence. With increasing global scrutiny and tightening regulations, the window for easy offshoring is closing fast. The sooner you act, the better positioned you'll be. So why wait? Protect your wealth, secure your future, and explore new opportunities with Exit Strategy. Don't let the rising dangers in the US economy catch you off guard. Reach out to us today and take the first step towards financial freedom. Because when it comes to your wealth, playing it safe is the riskiest move of all. Thanks for watching, and remember, your future starts with the decisions you make today. Choose wisely, choose Exit Strategy. Catch you in the next video.
Um, just got back from Berlin and picked up some crud, as I understand, right?
Thanks, Des. It's
It-
good. It's good to be with you again. Thanks for having me.
mhm. So,
Yeah,
what you were saying is Berlin is just one big disease these days?
yeah. I was telling you that every time I go out there, I have a house in the countryside, and place I stay there in Berlin as well. And every time I head out there, I seem to get sick. Last time I was out there, I had the flu. Maybe it was some variant of COVID. I don't know. And this time I had a bit of like a chest cold or something. And I just came back from Berlin, so
All the fresh
same as
air in
last time.
Berlin.
So I go there and pick something up.
So as Berlin started, when I was in Berlin, I mean, in the mid 90s, so Berlin was very clean. Um, has Berlin become something akin to what we see in Italy and in France and in the UK? Garbage strewn, just
Yeah, I would say it's not. It's not. The culture down there is a little bit different, obviously. But yeah, it's becoming more like the same as like some parts of New York City. The crime. I mean, I wouldn't compare it to like parts of Philadelphia or like Oakland or something like that, because there's no place in Berlin yet where I feel like I've ever felt like endangered. I can't say that, but it's definitely, you notice there's great change that's taken place over the last time I've been here, the last 20 years. I haven't been here the whole 20 years, but off and on, of the last 20 years I've spent about like 12, 13 years here. And yeah, there's been big changes here over that time, especially in places like Berlin, where the population is the demographics have changed so drastically, especially since 2015. Um, we got quite a bit of a culture clash in many big German cities, and Berlin is one place where that is definitely feel it there. Yeah, I mean, some parts of the city, it is pretty dirty. The subway system is pretty. If you compare it to like Moscow, for example, it's filthy. Yeah, it's better than New York, but
New
uh,
York is post-apocalyptic.
it's pretty nasty. But Berlin's somewhere in the middle, I would say. But yeah, the situation here keeps It's not improving. It's not getting better. I can say that definitely.
Yeah, my image of Berlin is locked in from 1998. And my last time I was in Germany was in 2023. I've been all over other parts of Europe, but just somehow never came back to Germany. But so yeah, in 2023, Germany is still pretty damn clean and orderly.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah.
changed so much. There's definitely we've got so many issues here now. We got companies. I work. I have a long relationship with RT. I've been with it for a long time. And what I come from, I was in the military, as you know, and the
Mhm.
U.S. Army, and finance is really finance and economics. That's what I studied when I learned that field I worked in. Um, and the situation in Germany, I mean, we've had uh, since basically the great financial crisis here from that time on, we really what we did in this country, what the ECB did is, I mean, we had negative interest rates, uh, especially money, capital totally mispriced. And we kind of constructed this artificial boom on the back of that. And then you had what happened in 2022, the special military operation. And those events have kind of come together. I mean, they're forced to try to raise rates a little now, and they reverse that again. They're going to cut. They've been cutting, and so this kind of confluence of these two things, where we built this bubble economy, and then we've got the uh, situation with Ukraine and Russia, and our gas supplies, our energy supplies, and all the everything that's evolved from that to kind of come together and create this really bad situation for Germany. We've got, for example, Volkswagen. Now they're closing three factories. They're Wolfsburg is the main hub where Volkswagen is headquartered. Uh, Tens of thousands of jobs are being cut. Those who are going to remain, they're going to lose a lot of salary, and it's just really one company after the next that's going bankrupt. And, and I mean, VW, that's a company that is it's a backbone of this economy, and one of the key pieces of it. And it's never happened before. I mean, this is the first time they're actually going to close three factories in this country. And then Rheinmetall, another big, they're laying off, thousands of people as well. And there's many other companies across the board here that have been, cutting people or closing down altogether. And I don't see how the situation really improves for us here.
Now,
We
the
really
government
should.
in Berlin, they didn't see this coming.
No, I don't think anybody saw it coming, really. I mean, there's few of us saw
Seriously.
it coming. People like I wrote about it for years. I've written about it for years. We had a big Intel was supposed to come outside of Magdeburg. I wrote years ago about how that would collapse, and the deal did collapse. That's how it came. I wrote about Nord Stream, that the
Hmm.
United States would do everything in the power to, not everything, but they would actually end it, and that's what they did. But those people voices, they're not really listened to. They're not heard. And but those people in Berlin, they really live in a bubble, a bubble of their own creation. And that's, I think, the biggest problem. They're so distracted or so far removed from reality. And that's part of the biggest problem we have here. There's some that get it. There are some people in the alternative for Deutschland, the AfD. They have a good read on the situation, some economic people. There are some in the few in the other parties, very few. But the Greens, for example, and the SPD, I mean, they kind of rode the bubble. They helped the blow, and no, I don't think many of them did see it coming. I
Okay,
think
well,
they're
the
they're
Greens are psychotic. I mean, everybody should have understood that who voted for the Greens, that they're absolutely psychotic ideologues. Fine, but the Christian Democrats, the rest, I
yeah,
mean,
you know,
it's so friggin' obvious that this was going to happen.
yeah, I mean, they have a base they have to pander to, especially the CDU and the SPD. And a large swath of those voters are, I mean, if you look at the numbers, the anti voters, a lot of them are under 30, 35 and under. They they're just drowning. They're struggling to breathe. The overburdensome regulation and the taxes and everything that you're forced to contribute in this country. The top earners are paying a half the salary, nearly, taxes, and then you add all the other taxes on top of it. That dog tax, broadcasting fees. It's just one after the other. And I mean, if you never actually broke it down, but if I probably for every euro, top earners, whatever for every euro they're paying, every euro they earn, they're paying probably, I don't know, 80, 75, 80 cents now, to the government, one form or the other. And we have big problems with the pension system here. A lot of the social systems that, they're really, a lot of them are Ponzi schemes. They have to be funded. And, we try to import, millions of refugees, force them into the labor market to get them, in the hopes that they would become, productive members of society, and then pay into these transfer payment systems. And it's just clearly that wasn't going to work, but that's what they tried to do. And, yeah, but those parties like the CDU and the SPD, they have those big voting blocks. There's pensioners and social welfare recipients. They make up huge numbers here, and they have to kind of cater to them in a way. As long as they keep those benefits full, they maintain those voting blocks, and that's one of the biggest hurdles for. I think young people here that want to. They want to change, but I just don't see it happening. I think everything here is going to have to collapse first. Anything new can rise from the ashes. I just don't see how it pans out any other way at this point.
Do you hear that? There's I think it's off from your side. There's feedback um, on the uh, on the mic.
Yeah,
You got
I
to tell,
don't hear anything.
huh?
Does it sound better now?
It's like a thumping, like a heartbeat thumping. Do you have any a telephone near one of the speakers? Now I can't hear you at all.
You can't hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, it may have been the text message coming through making that sound.
No, no, it's back. It must have been a microphone because when I couldn't hear you, I couldn't hear that either. But right now, it's a constant thumping. Okay, we'll work through it.
Can you hear me now? Is it clear?
Yeah, I can hear you, but no. I mean, I can hear you. It's just there's a constant thumping going like something like like thump, thump, like that, like a heartbeat. You didn't put a microphone in your pocket, did you? Stick one to the wrist. Yeah. You know it. I've been talking to a couple of German political analysts, and a couple interesting things they've said. One, uh, amongst the Russian Germans, so I mean the ones that have been there for 20, 30 years, there's a panic started that the German government, especially if Merz comes in, they may try to confiscate their assets and use them as scapegoats, as quote Russians, the Jews of the modern Jews. And two, one of them said, the government in Berlin really, really wants to get hit. They need to be hit by Russia because that's going to lead them to a military dictatorship that they really, really want. What do you think?
Just to put it out of the equation altogether. I mean,
Can,
it's a
can,
little.
can you Thomas, can you speak a little bit louder? It's yeah,
Let me turn
the
the
volume went
volume
down.
down. How is it now? Is it better?
Yeah, yeah, better.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I wouldn't put it completely out of the equation. I think that the government needs something, serious to happen so that it can, as I just mentioned before, I don't see any other way out of this situation for the German economy other than to, collapse and then it rebirth itself. So they're going to have to deal with that, and yeah, that could potentially be, but I mean, provoking Russia and then the country is in no it's really in no position unless NATO 5 is invoked, this country is in no way ready to take on a country like Russia. We have a military that couldn't really defend even maybe couldn't even defend Berlin, and the studies that show that. Um, we have no nuclear stockpile. We have nothing here. We have no nuclear weapons to speak of, and yeah, I mean provoking Russia. I mean. I can see how that, but we've got guys like Meltzer talking about it. They want to send Taurus, and Schultz has been against it. But yeah, I don't see how really this benefits anyone. But a direct hit on Germany, I mean, uh, uh, yeah, it would definitely have the potential to instigate the kind of response and total control that it would give the government that ability to do that. That is true. But I don't see Russia just. I think the relationship or the Germany and Russia do have a strong history, but at this point in time, just geopolitically and uh, economically, I think Russia's future is not here. I mean, relationships in East Asia uh, with the Chinese, with North America, we can figure out problems. Which I don't see that as always something. There's a big issue with the U.S. dollar that I discuss a little bit. Yeah, Germany for me a lot of Western Europe. I think is the biggest loser in all of this, and there's really nothing that Russia in particular needs from this country anymore. Um, it would be nice to have the market again and sell gas, but as I said, these things have been brought into. It's kind of like cascading on itself now, and there's really no way out of it. It doesn't
Right.
really matter when it comes to power. So for me, I think, and the way that a lot of the discussions take place here within the German government, and I think that they overestimate their importance on, on the world stage and their importance in terms of the Russian Federation.
Well, it's like the American sovereign debt crisis that they're already in the middle of. There's doesn't matter which president comes in there because the only solutions are default massive cuts in spending or massive printing of money. And you know which one they're going to go with.
Right. And but the thing is, for the United States, we'll always be okay because we have access to abundant natural resources. We do have a large swath of the population that believes in free markets and it's oriented in that direction. Um, and Germany, for its part, I mean, we still have a standing military that can defend the country, even if things come to a complete I'd say a Soviet style collapse. I don't see that in the United States. But as for Germany, they have none of these things. They have no access to these natural resources that we have in the United States. They're just basically cut off. And as I
Very
said before,
true. Very true.
a military that can't really can project no power, can't really defend the country even. It's got no nuclear weapons. Um, the best thing for the Germans would be to position themselves to have a beneficial partnership with the Russian Federation. We just can't do that. They're so tangled into our financial system and trade relationships, and they've cut themselves off at the knees. And just don't see how they. I don't see how they recover from this without us going a lot lower first, and then something new and new come out of that. Where we are now, I don't see how it happens without.
It's amazing
That's
to watch the level of incompetence. You've got Anna Baerback, 360, who went to China to lecture the Chinese, who then said leave, and ushered her and the German press out. I mean, just
yeah, I
unwanted
was just
guests leave, and
yeah,
that's considered diplomacy. I guess that's considered
yeah,
success.
yeah. You just brought up that example. I was actually going to mention that. That's one of the best examples. I mean, of this they exist and totally outside of reality. You know, for her to go over there and think that she can lecture this behemoth of a nation, you know, the world's basically largest producer nation now, and
And biggest economy.
right for this woman to go over there, I mean, it's just you know what can you say to it? I don't know what else you can look and apply. But that's bad. It's just ridiculous, and it's not the first time. You know, it's but they just lost all touch with reality.
Yes, they have.
The ruling, I guess elite, if you want to call it that in this country, they've totally lost all touch.
But okay, so you've got you've got the alternative future for Germany, number two party in Germany, effectively right now. You've got to drive to ban that party, which I guess, I mean, if Russia doesn't hit Germany, they can always do a black swan and then false flag event and then hit themselves. Wouldn't be the first ones.
You're
But
right.
all
You're
that,
exactly
so
about it.
they go and, I mean, the next logical step is obviously get rid of your enemies, which would be the alternative future for Germany. So they banned that party. Germans just take it sitting down or laying down.
Yeah, I don't think that there's room for. They're very docile people, German, especially German men. Over the last since the end of the World War II. I mean, if you live in this society and you know experience it on a daily basis, they're just extremely docile. If people do go on the street, they have these protests. I mean, but in terms of any types of you know serious resistance, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. No. No, we've had it since 2015. I mean, this country, part of the problem is people have had it very easy, very good for so long. Um, and a lot of people still do have it too easy. That's part of the problem. They don't see they can't see, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road. They couldn't in 2015, and a lot of them can't now. You know, in terms of any serious, like if they were to come out and ban the AFD, uh, no, I think they just take it lying down, to be honest. We'll see what happens. I think that's exactly how it would play out. There's not just not the wills for it. People are, um, you know, they've grown so accustomed to this, to these social safety nets and these systems that it's Ponzi like systems that have been built up over you know, the last decades, especially since the end of the Second World War. They just are not, and any type of fighting spirit, it's not really there. Um, Yeah, I mean, again, I can't say, you know, speak for everybody, but that's the general sentiment for this country. And like I said, people like me, when I try to talk about it or write about things like this in North Stream, German sovereignty, but it just falls on deaf ears. It's not, and there are other people that have been talking about it too, but it just falls on deaf ears, like I said.
Okay, well, how about, when you say Volkswagen, for example, is laying off 8,000 people,
No, no,
three
no,
plants.
many more than that.
Okay,
I
well,
think
15,000 people. Well, the point is, though, it's not just Volkswagen, 15,000 people. It's the suppliers. They're going to be closing down. It's the service industry that's built around those plants. It's the service
exactly right.
industry built around those employees. So, 15,000 people from Volkswagen can easily morph into 70, 80, 100,000 people all throughout the economy.
Yeah, that just you know kind of snowballs on itself. We saw the same thing, you know, in the United States when the you know the great financial crisis hit and GM, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
GM, we talk about supply chains that are going to get crushed, and yeah, it's going to be the situation just keeps cascading here, and I don't see. Yeah, it's just it's bad. I don't know how else to put it. It's a bad situation. It's going to get worse.
I mean, how far does it have to slide? Plus, you've got the fact that America is actually bragging that it's stealing German industry. American politicians are spitting in the eye of the Germans, laughing at them. We're so
Yeah,
stupid, and we're stealing industry. Yeah, but and Ukrainians on a little dinghy blew up the
yeah,
North Smart line,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the Germans are just taking this. I mean,
Yeah,
are they delusional enough to believe the Americans, or they just prefer not to believe anything? or
No,
ignore everything.
I think they just, like I said, they said, I don't know what word to use. What's the top this word I could use against that? They just take it. I mean, how can you have your own major energy infrastructure like Nord Stream? I mean, uh, it's just taken out by your ally. It's clear that the United States did this, that they were behind it, and
Yep.
it couldn't be clearer. And even I said, people like me, I wrote about it years before I wrote it all in detail, how it would happen and why it, more importantly, why it happened. And even after that event, you saw people like Schultz went to CNN. I saw him. He went to. He had that. If you can remember back to that time, he had the press conference with Biden, and they took no questions. So it wasn't really a press conference. And then that evening, I think he went on as he reads a column on CNN. Not a single question about the restraint. Um, yeah, it's amazing that something like that can happen to your critical energy infrastructure, and you just sit there and you take it. And
What about the Germans? Did they actually believe the fairy tale of a little dinghy and the skipper and Gilligan going out there and blowing up the pipelines? Or did they believe, I mean, did they really believe that? The
I
BS
think,
that they've been fed?
yeah, I think in West Germany, that kind of stuff is more, they get away with that, with that kind of garbage. But in East Germany, it's a little, people are a little more critical of, of the narratives, and they see what is, I think they see more what's going on. And but there's not much. What can they do about it? East Germany. I mean, after reunification, this, the former East Germany really got hit hard. The industry had already been, decimated, after the Second World War, and it's still even it was a complicated relationship. And then, a lot of the stuff that was here after reunification, I mean, it got absorbed into, the West German firms, and
Right.
so for the people here, I mean, they're a little, they're catching up slowly, but they're still economically disadvantaged compared to the counterparts in the West, and uh, they got to survive, make a living. I would say, yeah, but in Eastern Germany, the sentiment is a little different, especially towards Russia. The feelings are a little softer because of the shared history, especially the Soviet history. And well, what are they going to do about it? I mean, they're every day still going to live their lives. And um, I can tell you that the energy prices here have gone through the roof, especially gas, of course, obviously is an obvious one. But we'll see how it plays out. Now we're going to have, the central bank is going to, they're in the process of cutting rates because debt burdens are so high. We can't handle even, 500 basis points, 5%, basic 5%. So we'll cut and we'll see, we're going to have another bout of inflation here. That's going to come. And where are we going to be then? I mean, who knows who's going to, what they're going to vote for in this country?
You know, how is Germany as far as what the term of fuel poverty? Because you've got the UK and it on annual, and it's shocking for Russians when they find this out. UK loses between 20 and 40,000 excess deaths during winter. Not that I exactly called English winter a cold winter, but between 20 and 40,000 deaths, mostly elderly. Is Germany now experiencing the same thing?
Can't say I know there have been reports of that kind of thing where people, can't heat their homes anymore. I don't know how widespread it is. I don't think it's so widespread as in, you can, but yeah, there have been reports of that people, they essentially succumb to the cold temperatures, just can't pay the heating bills. My own heating bill, for example, it went from my house, it went from, when I first got the house, it was like probably 80 euros a month. And then it went from my gas bill, it went from 89 to 290. And then it went from 290 to 320. And
And how big of a time period?
then about a year and a half, a 2 year time.
Wow. So the
So from
price went
90,
up almost fourfold in two
right, from
years.
from from 80 to 290, and then this year from 290 to 320.
Yeah,
Um,
fourfold. Wow.
Yeah, and if you think about the what the average earnings are, you're looking at maybe for 3,000 euros. That's a big chunk out of your monthly budget. And then you have rising food costs and the cost of insurance, and they went more in property tax now. Property tax is a big issue. From the United States. I mean, that clearly he'll pick up on that example. The way it is in my home state of New Jersey or New York, we pay outrageous sums for property tax, and it comes, that's what's coming here. They've already started hiking, property tax rates. Um, yeah, so I mean, I just don't see, the future doesn't look rosy here in Germany.
So I'm taking it, unlike fuel prices, the average salary did not go up 300% in 2 years.
That's been on that. Salaries are pretty much, I mean, yeah, there've been some salary increases, but I mean, compared to the rate of inflation, uh, those salary increases just aren't enough and then with the government, I mean, the more you make here, the more you tax. So,
Right, right.
and like I said, the highest tax payers are paying, nearly 50% of their salaries in tax. And then you all have all the other taxes, the hidden taxes you have to calculate those into, like I was talking about earlier, that, and the, the broadcasting fees and stuff like dog tax and rainwater tax and all this other garbage that people are forced to pay here. And yeah, they're so heavily burdened by all this garbage that it's just hard for people to get ahead of this.
Well, I was talking with Voldemir Gert. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He is a former MP of the Bundestag, and he's a Russian German who moved to Germany like 30 something years ago. And he was a representative in East Germany, as a matter of fact, for the Russian the Russian Germans
Yeah.
primarily. And he's now organizing and working with the different diaspora Russian Germans to move back to Russia. And he was talking about something like up to 2.5, 3 million people who are ready to move and take their money with them. A lot of these guys are small, medium businessmen.
Russia is for me in particular, I've been there, I've been to Moscow, I've been around a little bit. And the business environment there is Russia has room to grow.
Right.
Russia has rates. Russia's financing its operation in Ukraine right now, and these things, you have to balance those out with this kind of war economy with the domestic economy, and you've got to keep everyone happy. But Russia has the ability to do that to raise rates to 20 and 22%. If we tried that here, overnight we'd be bankrupt. It's impossible. The debt burdens are so high. But in my experience, if I was, going to start a business anywhere in the European continent, Russia would be the place to go. The places, especially around the Moscow region, I think it's booming there. When I was there last, and the summer trains were going up everywhere, people were in a hurry to get places. It was kind of like New York, like in maybe in the 90s. So everybody's just moving fast and quick, and the amount of construction that was going on there was amazing. And yeah, the regulatory environment is just, I mean, the tax rates are much lower. It's why would you stay here? Why would you open a business in anywhere in Western Europe? There's so much room for growth in the Russian Federation that it would make perfect business sense and economic sense. I don't know. It would be interesting to find out how those people would be, received though in Russia. I mean, in Moscow, Petersburg is one thing, but in other parts of Russia, I don't know how they left. Would you think they would be received? Well,
Um, from what I've seen, from what I've talked to people, from what I've seen, and what people have been posting, and not just Germans, primarily actually Anglos from Australia, from Canada, from the U.S., they're received actually very well. Particularly farmers, big families, religious families. There's absolutely no problems. And Russia's so
that's right.
big. I mean, realistically, so big. Let's forget Moscow, St. Petersburg. You can even forget Ekaterinburg. All the other cities, 1 million to 2 million population. There's 20 other cities easily that you could filter in 2 million people and not notice. They could
Now,
probably filter in half of Germany and not notice too much.
yeah,
Um,
it seems my impressions from Russia is that anybody who wants to contribute, is going to be, there's going to be welcome there. And that's the impression that I have of Russia, and that's the feeling that I get also get from others. But
yeah,
I mean, in terms of business,
mhm.
that's the place I would go.
I mean, there are, of course, retractors that say, oh, anybody that's left should never come back to go to hell.
Yeah,
I've
you
heard
get
it in my
those.
direction too sometimes,
Yeah,
but they're the minority. And there are other
yeah,
people, oh, we shouldn't accept anybody from the West because they're all going to corrupt us, which is funny because most of the people that come from the West and immigrate, I'm not talking Central Asians or anything like that, but most of the people that are immigrating to Russia from the West are becoming bigger Russians than a lot of Russians. They're coming in with the intent of I'm assimilating. That's it. Kids are going straight to school, Russian language and everything. So
you know,
the
some business.
detractors are funny
Yeah,
to listen to.
you did it yourself. I mean, so you're born in the, you went to the United States, and then as a kid, right? And then you came back.
Right, right.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, what's it?
Yeah,
If you can contribute, that's what contribute, and they can do something productive. And I think Russia is very much for that. There's been a lot of room for organic growth. This society can essentially be autarkic if it needs to be that.
hmm,
It's great to have partners, and but if anybody doesn't want to be a partner to Russia for whatever reason, I mean, the country has potentially fully autarkic, and it's got no debt really to speak of, very little. So there's great room for upward growth. See, great things for the
oh
future
yeah.
in Russia, as long as the government maintains the kind of environment that it's set up now. The time after Putin could be a little, see what happens. But I mean, as long as things run smoothly, and then the government lets people, uh, you know, lets people just expand on their dreams and their visions. Just Russia can't go wrong.
There's actually well, I read a report. I don't know if the program went through or it's still in the drawing phase, but they're talking about a program, government funding, of course, to recruit German automobile engineers.
I saw that too.
Yeah, to
But
bring them to Russia. So, because reviving the Russian automobile industry, and it fell a lot. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. Right now, something like 87, 88% of sales are basically Chinese, and they're going to China. Money flowing out. There's only about 11, 12% that's actually Russian made at the moment. So that's a field that needs to grow a
yeah, that's
lot.
what that was interesting in Russia in particular was the number of the Chinese cars that are there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're just everywhere, and the quality is there. You get
Well, the quality's not that high to the German standards. I mean, to be honest, the biggest problem with the Chinese cars, the two biggest problems. One, the distribution network is lacking, and I'm not talking for cars. I'm talking for parts. So you got the basic consumables. Yeah, they bring enough some spark plugs or anything like that. But any kind of uh, key joint areas, yeah, it they don't have the warehouses set up yet. That takes time. They flooded the market with the automobiles, but they didn't bring in the parts and train the mechanics. But the other part is also the cars aren't climatically designed for Russia. Neither were the German cars at first.
yeah,
They were redesigned for the Russian climate.
yeah. These things, I mean, they take time. We're only talking there two and a half
Right, right,
since
absolutely.
2024. So, I mean, we're almost 3 years in, but yeah, I mean, those things take time to develop, and there's always hurdles you have to overcome. But I think moving in that direction was the best thing that could have happened to Russia.
Oh yeah.
To kind of freeing itself from these. We think if we have Western firms that want to do business with the Russians, then maybe in the future, things will. I mean, you still can get a lot of Western products here. Most of them are still. Uh, in terms of cars, I mean, but the consumer goods, like smaller stuff, I mean, I know I don't have any problem getting most of the stuff that I can get here and there in Russia. They're still moving everything through.
Amazing how
Um,
it all shows up anyways. Just like Russian oil keeps showing up in Europe and Russian
it's,
steel and everything and Russian aluminum.
all this stuff is there, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the future looks bright for Russia as long as they the government, keeps the people as their focus, and that's just not the case here, and I don't see that changing. This country, or Western Europe altogether, I mean, the people function as sort of what they're hosts, like for these uh, for the parasitic political class that just parasite you. And I don't see it getting any better. It
Yeah,
just
you've seen
we just
Body Snatchers, right? Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's kind of like, um, uh,
that's
Thomas,
right.
we're almost out of time. We've got about half a minute left, so I want to thank everybody who joined. Avoid the invasion of body snatchers when you go to Berlin. So I keep talking to you and not somebody else that goes, everything's great.
It, it's been a pleasure, Stas. Thanks for having me on again.
Yep, thanks for coming on. And we'd like to live normally with the Germans if the Germans would act in the interest of Germany, not in the interest of Washington.
I don't even think they know what